Living in constant financial anxiety is stressful. I mean, it's frustrating and exhausting being stuck in the same financial patterns, and maybe you're just not understanding exactly where it's coming from. I have 6 signs that you might be in a bad relationship with money. Sign number 1 that you might be in a bad relationship with money is by simply checking your bank account as a form of budgeting just to make sure you still have an account balance. This is a very passive way to work with money. In fact, it's not even really working because you have such a hands-off approach to your finances. Rather than actually putting arms around it and finding strategic ways to use it, you're just really looking at a screen and checking a dollar amount and continuing to spend or not spend, save or not save, and it's really not getting you anywhere. Sign number 2, spontaneously spending money without pause. Do you ever find yourself in situations where you're out with a group of friends and you're like, yes, I will sign up for that $100 excursion to go bike riding and jump roping across the lake of saltines? I don't know what it is, but if you ever find yourself just spontaneously spending money without really thinking about how this is going to impact other areas of your finances or other expenses, this could be a sign of impulsivity where you are just impulse buying without any real regard to the rest of your financial picture. Now, a few cases of spontaneous spending is perfectly fine so long as it's within budget. I like to set aside fun money specifically for this purpose because then I have the fun money to say, okay, I have $100 this month in fun money. I can totally say yes to that lunch with a friend. I can totally say yes to the boba tea that's $5 because that feels good to me. And there's a boba tea place right there in front of my face and I'm going to say yes to it. Those are okay instances, but if you're finding yourself spontaneously spending money, especially large amounts of money, and you're not really pausing to think, do I have the funds for this? Is this going to impact any other areas of my finances? Then it's probably a sign that you're in a bad relationship with money. Sign number 3, feeling like rich people are bad and that they are the reason you can't get ahead financially. Placing blame on wealthy people for your situation is oftentimes a sign that you aren't ready to take financial ownership of what's happening with your finances. You're not willing to take responsibility for your income and your expenses and willing to say that I'm going to right the ship. So this is actually, this very vulnerable with you. This is actually a statement and a sign that helped me and see that I was having a bad relationship with money, where I was starting to see wealthy people as greedy, selfish, and really were only looking out for their best interest for themselves, rather than taking the opportunity to say that I could also be a rich and wealthy person who does the right thing, that takes money not only to better myself, but to better my loved ones and my community. Sign number 4, taking on more debt. A lot of people think that debt is no big deal and they'll go ahead and take out the car loan because it's only $500 per month for the next 5 years. And when you add all of that up, that's over $30,000 that could have been used for something like going on a really nice vacation, saving up for a down payment, actually using it to pay for a car in cash. And let's not forget that there is interest that is charged on that car loan. Now, that's just one example. There's also the example of getting into massive amounts of credit card debt because unexpected expenses happened and you didn't have the cash saved up. Rather, you could have been working on an emergency fund and building that up over time so that when the unexpected occurs, and it does occur, that you would have the emergency fund savings as your backup and your cushion to say, I have the cash. I don't have to worry about putting this on the credit card. I don't have to worry about being charged 20, 25, 30% interest because I took care of it and I made the plan ahead of time. Sign number 5, you have little to no savings. Having little to no savings is literally like walking on the edge of a Grand Canyon cliff outside of the fence line. That is how that feels to me. You are walking so dangerously close to the edge that if you step on a pebble or a rock and you skid, there's just no turning back. Having that emergency fund in place is so important. In fact, I've done a really successful video on how much you should have in an emergency fund. I will leave a link to that up here in the cards for you to check out. At minimum, you should have 2 to 3 months of living expenses set aside in an emergency fund. Once you become debt free, you can increase that to 6 months of living expenses or more. And sign number 6, you have no financial goals. There are no goals for savings, there are no goals for spending, and there are no goals for future you, such as not only a down payment or purchasing a replacement car, but your retirement. What does your investments look like? What does life look like in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond? And are you setting yourself up for success in those areas of your life? Now, I'm definitely not a fan of scorched earth approaches when it comes to your finances. I truly believe that you should have fun and enjoy the here and now and use money in order to do so. I'm also a big believer in setting aside money to set yourself up for success later in life. So I think there's a good balance of both, where you need to enjoy here and now, but I also want you to enjoy later as well. So make sure you have a combination of the two. And if you have zero financial goals, that's definitely a sign that things are kind of bad. Actually really bad. So what can you do about it? What is the solution to any of these signs of having a bad relationship with money? I encourage you, one, to kind of journal this out, or even just talk it out with a partner or a best friend, somebody that you trust, and just talk about what was life like financially for you as a child. How did you deal and how did you view with money as a preteen or a teen? What did money look like for you in college? What was your experience with finances at that time? Knowing those stories of how money has influenced and impacted you as a child, as a teen, as a college student is really going to inform how you interact, or maybe lack of interaction, with your finances. Understanding those stories from your past can help you heal some financial trauma that you may have gone through and help you pivot into the right direction. Now, how do you make that pivot after you understand those stories and kind of sit with those stories and understand, oh, that's why I'm an impulsive shopper, because I was always denied those things as a child. I never got what I wanted. And so now I'm redirecting that activity by using my money and giving everything that I wanted as a kid. How do you right that ship? There's really 4 different areas and 4 steps that you need to take a look at. Step number 1 is assess. Dump all the financial pieces of your life out onto the table and start flipping over those pieces. I like to look at this as kind of like a puzzle of like, okay, what is this piece of debt? What is this piece of income? How can I put everything together? That's really step number 2, is to identify what are the problem areas that are really triggering a lot of financial anxiety for you. Let's take a look at that. How can we look at those pieces and identify what needs the most attention right now? The 3rd step is to plan. You are going to prioritize what comes first and create an action plan. I love to do this in Budget Bootcamp, where I create a list of action items for my clients and I say, all right, this is in order of priority what you need to work on. And maybe for you, if you're like, I have little to no savings, that needs to be step number 1, is really building up that starter emergency fund and start setting up a high yield savings account, automatic savings contributions, taking a look at a budget, forming a budget. All of those things can go inside your action items inside of your plan. And number 4 is to implement. Put that plan into action by creating your action items every single month and following through on that action item plan. Now, if you want to take this further of the action, identify, plan, and implement process, this 4-step process. I'd love to support you in that through my money coaching program, Budget Bootcamp, where you and I work one-on-one in a private setting. We can talk about those financial experiences that you've had in the past, and then also make a plan to better yourself financially and actually hit your financial goals. This is a 3-month commitment, and I love hearing the wins that I get out of this. I actually recently just had a client who went from a $300 emergency fund when we first started working together, and 3 months later, she had over $3,200 in emergency fund money saved. That is incredible. So I would love for you to be another success story. If you're interested in that program, I will leave a link in the description box below. What is a sign for you? Are you in a bad relationship with money, or do you feel like, no, we're besties right now, like we're good? We're going out for drinks, but we're also hanging at home and putting money into investments. Let me know in the comments. If you're not one of the 65,000 plus members of the Debt Free Millennials community, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It helps out more than you know. And why wouldn't you be wanting to rock with a fam who loves to create a life of more fun and less payments and build that financial confidence? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one.